If I'm Mick Foley, I'm shutting up. I'm keeping my mouth shut for at least a few years because this guy has. I mean, I've made numerous videos about this guy over the past few years. So his behavior and his attitude and the way that he has carried himself and how ridiculous he has looked and have made himself and the secondhand embarrassment I get from even growing up as a fan of his. I mean, it's out of this world. So I had to tweet this out. I said, Mick Foley's brain is cooked. And it truly is. So this little clip that we're about to watch from Mick Foley, he's going to tell you, he's going to show you, we're about to watch this joint in 4K. The stupidity on display. Because there's no way that after everything, Foley, everything, the Ring Boy fiasco from, what was it, the 80s or 70s, whenever it was, that didn't make you budge. You want to complain about everything under the sun politically and blah, blah, and then want to claim that it's not political when literally every move that you have made in the past few years publicly has been politically motivated. The whole Saudi Arabia situation, we didn't hear a single word from you, bro. Not a single word. But you are letting a guy that you may have probably met once or twice, and I guarantee you it was probably a good exchange or a good experience that you had with them, but you'll never admit it now because you have to virtue signal. And the fact that you're retired and you're pretty much a made dude in the industry, you got a lot of money, famous as hell, and yet you have nothing to gain from this. You have nothing to gain from being this retarded. But we're about to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get into this.
I was thinking about calling you a douchebag in this interview, and then I thought that's a pretty strong word. Trump might come after me, and I made the decision not to call you a douchebag, even though you are one. The Undertaker.
Yeah, you just decided to just end your contract with WWE and tell the entire world, make sure you tweeted it out because of one tweet that you didn't like of President Trump. Like, I just don't understand it, man. I just don't get it.
Is correct in saying Donald Trump made politics fun again for about 3 weeks in 2016. What frustrates me the most is that so many good, hardworking American people cannot see through such an obvious con man who is only out for himself.
Whoa, 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 whoa. This is coming from a guy that has spent his entire life in professional wrestling business, and he's going to talk about con men. Are we really going to go there? The guy that shared the same locker room with, I wouldn't say shared the same locker room because Paul Heyman didn't wrestle, but shared the same company as Paul Heyman, was in the same rooms as Paul Heyman. And you're talking about, and that's just only one example. And we're talking about con men, and that's where you draw the line. Trump wasn't a con man when he was at the exact same WrestleMania that you wrestled Edge at about 20 years ago. He wasn't a con man then. Oh, but he's a con man now. Get out of here, man.
They don't always have time to go home and do their research. Look up the data. See how many times Donald Trump has failed to pay his contractors and workers over the last 30 years. Words are...
All right, see, this is where they lose me, bro. This is where these virtue signalers really lose me. And just the fact that he's sitting there pandering right in front of a camera is crazy to me because he's sitting here talking about them not paying their workers. Again, a guy that has spent his entire life, a guy that spent more years, longer than I've been alive, in the business. And this is where you draw the line. He doesn't pay his workers, and he doesn't even have any proof of that either, by the way. But that's the first thing. It's like, explain to me, why don't you like this person? Why don't you like this figure, whether it's a president or celebrity, sports figure, whatever? Explain to me, why don't you like this person? They don't pay their workers. Yeah, you don't like them because of that. But why don't you really like them? Oh, because it's cool to not like them. Oh, because it's quote unquote the right thing to do to not like them. You ever realize something? We hear it all the time, but nobody actually really says it, except for the very few of us. But whenever you hear somebody say that, oh, I'm going to be on the right side of history, or we're on the right side of history, whenever people that have common sense and we make decisions and we voice it publicly, people like myself, do you ever hear us say that we're on the right side of history, we're doing the right thing, I'm a good person, we're good? No, you don't. The only people who continue to use the word Nazi, the people who continue to race bait or rage bait. I just posted a video of old girl. She's probably a huge fan of Mick Foley and AJ Lee and Nikki Bella, of just sitting there just rage baiting about Cena and calling Super Cena crybabies and stuff like that, just going off the rails. But Mick Foley is one of those people. He's the John Leguizamo, or Leguizamo, however you say his name, of the WWE. A guy that has been around. He knows exactly how the business works, let alone entertainment business works, but still yet wants to turn on the camera and act completely fucking stupid and virtue signal like he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how the business works. He doesn't know how business in general works. He knows. Same as John Leguizamo. Those guys have been in the business way, way, way longer than I've been alive. And yet they continue in 2025 to act this way?
Cheap, and he lies almost every time he opens his mouth. But do you know what he's not lying about? When he talks about coming after the enemy within. The enemy within. Who is that? It could be anyone. It could be me. I was thinking about calling you a douchebag in this interview.
Oh my gosh, man. See, this is just Mick Foley trying to be relevant again. That's all this is. Every time he crawls out of his hole, out of hibernation, literally, as it seems, every single time, it just looks worse and worse. Crawling out of hibernation every year he does this. And virtue signals and says, I'm not doing this because of Trump. I hate Trump, blah, blah, blah. Like, him and Jim Cornette just need to start a podcast or something together, because I guarantee you that would be gold, and I'll probably be making endless videos clipping all their shit talking about this stuff. But I mean, it's beyond me as to why we continue to see this from Mick Foley and from just legends in general in entertainment. There's no reason to virtue signal. You got it. You got it all made, fam. If you're going to stand for something at least with some common sense where you can put your mind to it, not just going off of CNN points or Twitter points or Blue Sky, whatever. Like, fam, relax. There's only two reasons as to why I feel like Mick Foley acts this way and virtue signals and feels like he's doing the right thing. And one is because he's been hit over the head more times than anybody in the wrestling business. So I'm pretty sure like his brain is literally cooked. That's why I tweeted that out. That wasn't like play on words. No, I mean literally, like his brain is probably fried. Or two, he's just listening to the wrong people and has the wrong people in his circle. I don't know, man. So this person tweets out and says, and fuck Triple H. He proudly sat behind Linda McMahon as she promised to tear apart the Department of Education and ruin schools across the country. But you won't see any of these quote unquote influencers talking about that. And you want to know why? You want to know why they won't be talking about that? Because it's a non-issue. And because the way Linda McMahon is doing it, again, you just got to have common sense to know what they're doing is the right thing. It's better than what has been happening, to where you look at Baltimore and the Department of Education. Bad. Levels of bad. You're talking about graduating people from high school with second grade reading levels. No bullshit. That was just a stat 2 years ago. I highly doubt it has changed around that fast. So whatever Linda McMahon and whoever else being a part of the Department of Education, whatever plans they have for that, I would assume it's probably better than whatever's going on right now in Baltimore or anywhere else where they're graduating people from high school with second grade reading levels. Just saying. But that's your excuse. That's your excuse to try and bash Triple H now. Because Triple H is related to them. Because Triple H is married, literally married into the family. It's not like it's his mom or if Mr. Man is his dad. No. He's married into the family. And now y'all want to connect him to a whole bunch of shit he has nothing to do with. Yes, he went to the White House and took pictures with the president and everybody else. Yes. Okay, cool. We get it. Yes, he's endorsing in the whole Department of Education plan that they have. Cool. But in what way, shape, form, or fashion are we going to sit here and say that Triple H is a politician? In what way, shape, form, or fashion are we going to sit here and try to criticize Triple H because of said political or whatever the fuck? No, it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way when Vince McMahon was in position at WWE. I didn't sit there and say, "Oh man, I'm glad to see Vince McMahon go any way that he can go just to get him out of creative." No, I wanted Vince McMahon out of creative 10 years ago. Before I even had a podcast, before I even had a YouTube channel, whatever you want to call this. But guess what? When it finally happened 5 years ago, or was it maybe 4 years ago at this point? When that finally happened, was I like, man, I'm so glad we got him going regardless. He's out of creative. No. I said, whoa. The way y'all are trying to get Vince McMahon out of his own company, I ain't down with that. Because now y'all are doing every single thing that y'all have done to all the other guys that have been in high positions in the past 10 years, billionaires or even hundreds of millions of dollars of net worth, whatever, to try and get them out of their own positions. And then we saw it happen to Vince McMahon. And it's like, whoa. I'm down with him being out of creativity, but to get him out this way ain't the move. I said that since day one. I don't think that we should be criticizing Triple H because of whatever kind of political party he's affiliated with, or whether he's related to people that are a part of the Department of Education, or whether he's even a part of the Department of Education himself. It has nothing to do with what we're seeing on our screens on Mondays and Fridays and on Saturdays. Nothing at all. So miss me with that. And here we go. Well, what did I just say earlier about the whole using the word Nazis or using racism or using rage bait and all this other stuff? Like, at some point, it just becomes like a repellent. We just look at it and we're like, wow, another person just out of their fucking mind. So this person tweets out, it says, they're all Nazis supporting the Nazi party. They're just not willing to admit it because they're too ashamed to say it out loud. That they are indeed Nazis. So how many times have we even seen the word Nazi so far? 3? And they're not even done with their fucking tweet. Like, I cannot imagine. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see how these people type. Like, they're probably doing this like, Nazi. I'm going to call him Nazi. Yeah, there you go. I get it. Yeah. Like, that's all I can really think of. And I know it's kind of over-exaggerating, but at some point you have to kind of sit there and think to yourself, who does this? Who tweets like this? Who writes like this? Let alone who talks like this? All right, and they go on to say Foley is a fucking legend and is doing what any decent human being with a functioning brain and good morals should do. Oh my gosh, dude, this is ridiculous. It's one thing to disagree with Trump with the tweet. Like I said, I don't agree with what he said about the Rob Reiner situation as well. That was fucked up. You don't dance on somebody's grave, no matter how they thought. Like there's plenty of people that I grew up with that didn't like me or had a problem with me or we had a problem with each other. And something ended up happening to them when we became adults. I ain't dancing on their fucking grave. I'm like, damn, shit. That sucks. But at the same time, if you don't have any, and it sucks that it's me of all people that has to say this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's all I'll say about the whole president thing with the whole tweet or blue sky or whatever he tweeted from. But to sit there and say that Mick Foley is a fucking legend. Yes, Mick Foley is a legend. Mick Foley is a wrestling legend. 100%. No one will ever be able to take that away from him. But I'll tell you this. He is a fucking idiot. You lose me is when at the first half of your tweet, you're labeling people that disagree with you already. You're labeling people as Nazis that disagree with what Mick Foley says or disagrees with what Mick Foley stands for or is quote unquote standing for. And then in the second half, you're sitting there sucking Mick Foley's dick. And then the second half of your tweet, you're saying that Mick Foley is a fucking legend and is doing what any decent human being with a functioning brain and good morals should do. Yeah, again, there's so many things that you could have gone off of to disassociate yourself from WWE because of the president, and you didn't do it. You had every chance under the sun, but now this of all things, is what makes you do it. And the fact you have to come out and tweet about it, and you couldn't just do it. This is what I say about the women that accuse men of shit with no fucking evidence of nothing. And years later, it's like, go ahead and file a lawsuit. Why are you running to Twitter and making a video about it? Why are you running to Instagram and making a post about it? Just do it. I don't know, man. Like, this shit is exhausting to witness and to see your legends go down this way. But, man, Mick Foley, bro, you need some milk and you need a CAT scan or something, bro. Like, you got to get your head checked out, bro. It's way past time for that. Like, you got to get admitted, like, yesterday. Like, this is award-winning levels of stupidity. Award-winning, bro. I don't know. Hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy, Corn. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I am OUT.